Hello, everybody. This is Debbie Eno from Teacher Success Coach with another episode of the Female Educators Roundtable. And on this roundtable, on a Saturday, we teachers come on and we discuss the life of a teacher before COVID, during COVID, and after COVID. And we look in terms of mental health. We look in terms of teaching. We look in terms of discipline, what all these things were like before COVID, during COVID, and after COVID. What is teaching like now? Anyway, I've got another educator on the platform. Thank you, Louise, for coming on. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you. Okay, I'm Louise. I've been a teacher now for a very long time. I would say nearly 20 years. I'm just trying to count it up in my head. And I have worked in the UK, but the majority of my career has been in Italy. For the last 14 years, I've been in Italy. And I've worked in a variety of different settings, different schools, different age groups. You name it, I've tried to do most of it.
Exactly. As teachers, we do. As teachers, there's sometimes we've thrown in some topics you may never have taught before. But they said, okay, well, here you are. I'm in the school and I'm teaching a subject called philosophy, ethics, and something else. And I'm thinking, what is this? I haven't done this. Yeah. And the beautiful thing about it, the lessons are all planned. So all you have to do is go on to the different, topic.
Yeah.
And just tweak it if you need to. And I'm thinking, this is beautiful. So great. I'm learning with the students, right? Because I haven't got a clue. Yeah. Philosophy is belief and ethics, right? Philosophy, belief and ethics. This is something new. I've dabbled in philosophy, ethics, yes, in terms of sociology aspect, belief, yes, aspect, but I've never had them all three together, right? So I'm teaching all three together. And I must say, it's really interesting because we're looking at the Enlightenment and then we're looking at the French Revolution. So it's a real combination. Wow. Exactly. So I'm really excited to really teach it. It's really an exciting thing for me. So it's a new topic. It's something I've never taught before. So good. As teachers, as they say, we dabble in everything.
Yeah. And it's good, isn't it, to refresh, like to make your teaching fresh in that way. I think sometimes it's good to throw yourself in the deep end and to teach something you've never taught before. Yeah. And maybe it's going to go well, maybe it's not, but you learn as you go.
Exactly. You never know. Because I did the first lesson on that on Friday. And that was yesterday. Oh my goodness. You see,
it was only yesterday.
Exactly. It was only yesterday, And the students, they enjoyed it. But they were noisy. Oh, Lord, help. And I'm thinking, okay, probably next week I'll do. We didn't even finish it, right? We didn't even finish the lesson. I did half of the lesson. So I've given them the other half of homework. So it was interesting.
Very good. Give the homework.
I have to end it. I had no choice because we didn't finish it. We didn't finish the topic. Okay, so what was it like for you before COVID? Because you were in Italy at the time, isn't it? Because you now make your home in Italy, right?
Yes, yeah. So I think it's difficult to explain, it's difficult to put into words because COVID itself, everyone has had a massively different experience of COVID, I think. Mm-hmm. And it might be depending on where you're living, it could be depending on your job, it could be so many different factors. But yeah, life before COVID in Italy was good. I think COVID changed a lot of things in Italy. But yeah, no, life in Italy was good. I worked for, I'm just trying to think when COVID hit. I worked for about 5 years in an international primary school. Working in year 6, really enjoyed it, really enjoyed the experience, got to meet so many different people in the course of that 5 years. because obviously it's being an international primary school, everyone was coming from all over the world to work there. And it was lovely. It was great to meet so many different people, and people now that I've met right at the beginning of my career in Italy are still friends now, you know, and
fantastic.
People that I've stayed in touch with, people that I still regularly see, and it's no, it was great. It was a great community. It was a great kind of international community, and I was based at that point in Milan, and being in the north as well, it was great for kind of travel links to different countries, and yeah, got to experience weekends away with friends, living the life in Italy. It was great. Eating all the lovely food as well.
Yeah, isn't it? The other thing, thank you for that. The other thing is year 6, is it the same? Is the system in terms of the year group, is it the same here? You know, year 6 is what age group?
So year 6 would have, yeah, it is the same. It's the same age group. They would have been, I can't remember now how old they are in England. I'm just thinking because they would have been 10, 11.
Right, so getting preparation for secondary school.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
For the last year of primary school.
Okay, yeah. Okay. So it's the same thing here. Okay. So that was before COVID. So during COVID, did you teach online, and what was it like? And what was it like also in terms of discipline?
So, yeah, where to begin on this one? So basically, I switched jobs after this job. I went to work in an Italian school. And then after a little while there, I moved to another international primary school, which had just recently opened in Milan. And it was during that time in the other international school where we had the lockdown and COVID started. And it was, I know, like, obviously it was very different for everybody, but in Italy, it all kind of started in Italy. The first cases in Europe were in Italy, and they were very, very close to where I was working. So there was a lot of kind of panic and being scared, and we were the first European country kind of dealing with this and not quite sure what was going on. And I remember feeling very frightened, but I remember what I thought was very strange, now that I look back, was we'd had a holiday. I think it must have been the February half term. And we'd had this holiday, and we had to go in, all the teachers had to go in on the first day back for a training day. So we all went in, we all sat together, mixed together. And while this was all this panic was going on, we all got given a laptop to take home with all of the different applications on for online teaching. So Teams, Microsoft Teams was all set up with all of our classes. And it suddenly began to get a bit real, a bit too real. And they said that from the next day, we were to be at home and we were going to be teaching online. And at that point, now it seems very normal to be having, you know, even to be having a chat with you and talking on Zoom. It seems absolutely normal now, but then it wasn't so normal. And suddenly, within the space of a day, we were thrown into, oh my God, I've got to teach my lessons online. So very scary in terms of the health situation, very scary in terms of teaching situation as well, because it was new and there wasn't a rule book and there wasn't anything really to guide us. And even, you know, even in fairness, the managers at my school tried to guide us as much as they could, but even they didn't know, and none of us knew what it was going to look like, what this model of teaching was going to look like. And yeah, and then the next day I took the register online. The kids came online and they were all there on the screen. And it was having to learn, it was learning, the first thing was learning controls for how to mute them all, because they were all talking at once and it got chaotic. And I remember us going from that first week of teaching online, where we were teaching kind of a half timetable, to then going to the next week where we were teaching a full timetable online. And it was just drastic and heavy, and it became the normal.
Yeah. It is so very true. So how were you controlling the whole system? Because for me, although I used to do teams, but I never taught on teams. So the student had control because I didn't know what to control. So they were controlling my PowerPoints.
Mm.
You know, and it's not intentionally for me, it was unconscious because I didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
So for me, the first day of actually going live, I was so exhausted because I had to go on YouTube to teach myself to know how to control those PowerPoints. Because anytime I put it on, they were taking it out.
Yeah.
I take it on, they take, and then I had the siblings coming, making noise. I had the whole shebang.
Yeah. Yeah. You know? Me too. No, me too. It was exactly the same. I think all teachers did. I think this was a universal thing where we were all having to control not just the kids in our class, but also their pets, their siblings.
Yes, the pets.
The dogs.
Yes.
And they had their dog up on the screen.
Yes, you're so right. Yes, I remember having the pet. Yes, I forgot about this one.
Yeah. And then them getting very wise very, very quickly. Yes. You know, I was at that point, I was teaching, I think I was in year 4 at that point, actually. And the kids becoming much wiser than I on how to control teams. They were putting people out of the call, and I couldn't understand how they were doing it. They were blocking people. They had access to all my controls, and I didn't know how to do that. And so I had to learn very quickly, and I think all of us did, didn't we, that how to outsmart them.
Yeah, exactly. I remember the night I stayed up all night to know how to take control, mute them, make sure that, and next day when I went in, I mute them all. I was asking them questions, although I knew I muted them all, I was asking them questions, and I put in the chat, Miss, you muted us. And I said, yes, I know. I said, because I'm in control. I tell you, it was real. You had to, I remember going on the platform and I'm feeling so tired because I had to stay up all night to practice.
Yes. Yeah. It was a real case of that, wasn't it? It was us having to learn it before we did it, and we didn't have a chance to. So we were going in very, very quickly to a situation that was not very, it was out of our control.
Yeah, exactly. And what was discipline like for you? Disciplining them online, what was it like? How were you able to discipline them?
You couldn't really. It was hard. It was really hard. Because I was very lucky that I had a very good class, a nice class. I had good relationships already with them. We'd started in September together, and obviously this was then now the end of February. So I'd had that relationship with them in the classroom already from September to February. So I actually didn't find that so bad. It wasn't so difficult. It was more sort of their worries. I don't think at the beginning, I don't think I was giving them a chance to tell me what they were worried about, or to, you could see sometimes that they found it very hard to get up for a class. If we started at 8 o'clock in the morning, they were sometimes sat there in their pajamas eating their breakfast, because they'd literally just got up, because they were kind of settling into this new normal as well. And you know, it must have been very strange for them too, not only us. So I think I had to step back from traditional teaching, not be the same teacher I was, and I had to change how I taught. And it became a much more relaxed situation. I don't know if that was a good thing or a bad thing, actually, but at the time it worked for us.
Exactly. I was going to say to you, what the result you got? The fact is, if it worked, that was fine.
Yeah. It worked for us at that moment. I don't think it would have worked with every class. I think these kids needed, I think, a lot of reassurance. They were very scared. They'd seen lots of things on the news. I think we were all feeling a bit like that, weren't we? And it was all very scary. And I think that was the main thing, actually, to reassure them and to carry on as much as possible as normal, but while taking into account that it actually wasn't that normal. Whatever normal is.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. Thank you for that. So, so when you came back into the classroom, what was it like in terms of the mental health, in terms of the socialization skill? What was that like?
Interesting. It was, I can speak from 2 points of view on this, because my son at that point was 2, and he hadn't had any socialization properly from the February until the September, until we went back. So I think his teacher noticed a massive difference in the children. And I think I noticed less of a difference, because I had children that were already, they were year 4 going into year 5, and I think they maybe, it's wrong to say they handled it better. They didn't necessarily, but I think they understood maybe it better, and they still had socialization online. Whereas my son, being 2, didn't have, he literally had me and his father. That was it. There was nothing. So I think very different experiences. I don't think, when I first came back into the classroom, it was wonderful to see them again. It was wonderful to see these kids in the flesh, to see them there, and it was great. And it was so, I suddenly found it so much easier to be in a classroom than to be online. Although I thought at that point I was coping quite well with online, I suddenly went, oh, and I felt like I'd relaxed again. Here I am, I'm back in my classroom, it's okay. But the classroom was very different. I don't know what it was like in the UK, but we had plexiglass dividers between the children on the desks. The children had to sit so many meters apart. And when they play, I don't know what that was like in the UK. I don't know if you had that.
No,
at
we
all.
didn't. We didn't have that. We just actually, when we went back, the only thing we used to, wipe the table, sterilize the table, and all of that. Well, in terms of the students, the classroom wasn't wide enough to have them separate. So the only separation they had was the teacher separation. So we were separated from them, and we couldn't, there's one they could actually come to the desk one way, and they couldn't even come, there was a space where the distance from us, but
there was so many meters distance, wasn't there? I can't remember how many now. 2 meters, was it?
But there was no there was no division in terms of the glass. What was the issue is the windows and doors had to be kept open, and it was
we had that too.
cold, freezing cold. So many students end up being sick because of that, and I had to say to them, just keep the coat on, because it was very, very cold.
No, we had the same thing with the airflow and keeping the windows open. We're lucky because the climate's a little bit better than the UK. But still,
and another thing we had was the year groups were all kept together. So year 10, they went to lunch together, they played together, etc. Year 11, you as the teacher who was in, with either of those groups, you were stuck with them. So that was the thing. And the sad thing about it, when some of them came back, their mental health was massively affected. Because
I think sorry, go on.
No, some of them hated being at home with their family.
I think it was very tough for them at home, more tough than maybe I realized at the time. I probably realized when they came back, because I think for them it was kind of a release when they came back to school, because they'd been cooped up all day with their families, some of them without siblings, some with siblings obviously, and then the parents also they were trying to work from home, trying to divide their attention between their children and their work, which was, we know, very stressful. Yeah, absolutely. The mental health, it didn't seem very apparent to me in the beginning, but as time went on, it became a little bit more apparent, and that there was a lot of insecurity I found as well with the children when they came back. Very insecure. They needed a lot of self-assurance, a lot of help to feel more confident again. So
that's interesting. Thank you.
Yeah.
It was interesting because the students I taught, I did not meet them before. So my first teaching with them was online. And when I actually saw them in the physical classroom, they all knew who I was. But I did it because they were seeing me on the corridor and, hi, Miss. I'm thinking, where do I know you from? But they saw me online and I didn't see them because they didn't have the cameras on.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So I didn't even know what class they were, what did they teach them, and when we actually start going to the classroom, I keep on repeating myself, saying to them, what class are you again? Because I didn't see them before, so therefore I was kind of lost.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. We actually had a rule where we enforced that they put their camera on.
Right,
but I didn't like it because I had moments where I just needed for them to not see my face for 2 minutes. So I could kind of understand, and also I think it depended on the child, obviously, with behavior and stuff, but I think some of them would turn the cameras off on purpose, and you kind of know which children those are, but other children had genuine reasons where they need to run out the room quickly, run back. So it was a difficult one.
And it's interesting because you said you didn't notice the mental health until now. It is true, because the sad thing about it, when we were going through the process, the mental health was not apparent as it is right now. It is mega. It's like yesterday, we were talking, and I just overheard one of the sports people were talking about the mental health of the children. It was a general conversation, but then I slip off and I just let them continue. And they were just saying how the mental health of these young people is so high now. And in different schools, the level is higher. And it is very true, because especially anxiety also have some children that are not coming to school.
Sorry, you cut out just then. I missed some of that, but I think you said about anxiety.
Because they just cannot deal. Yes, is on the increase, and some children not even coming to school.
Sorry, I've lost your sound. Sorry.
So we have that fear. Can you hear me still?
I think I can hear you. Hang on, coming back. I don't know if you can hear me, but you've completely frozen. I can't hear you anymore.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can now. Your screen's frozen, but I can hear you. Hi.
Hi. You see, this is. Can you hear me? Hear me?
Hi.
Yes, hi. I can hear you.
I can hear you. Okay, you're back.
Yeah, I'm saying this is one of the challenges online, eh? This is some of the challenges we were having online when we were teaching.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I can hear you now. This is good.
I
We're
know.
back.
Yeah, one of the things I was saying is I was also questioning, now the mental health of these young people is so high. The question is, was it there all along, but we did not know what to look for? Or because of what's happening now, how the lifestyle and COVID, etc. Is it,
Mm.
is it something new? I don't know. I can't answer. I don't know.
I don't know either. I don't know if anyone knows really. I think it's I remember at the time when we were teaching online, feeling like we shouldn't be teaching them a full timetable online, feeling like it was wrong, that they needed time to switch off.
Mhm,
I needed I needed it, so therefore I felt they needed it. I
mhm,
think it was mainly because I was feeling that.
mhm.
But I also don't think it's healthy for a kid to sit online from 8 till 4. Obviously there was breaks, and we were encouraged by our managers to do lots of kind of exercise with them, to do encourage them to do exercise when they weren't online with us.
Mhm.
But I think we could, in a way, we not us personally, but we as adults created some of this problem in a way.
Mm.
Because I remember thinking at the time, this isn't good. We shouldn't be doing this. Maybe they should only be doing morning school. Maybe the afternoon they should be doing
Mhm.
exercise as best they can. And other things, focusing on other things.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know. It's a really hard one. I knew that too much time online was not good.
Mhm.
Um, I don't feel they listened for half of it. I think they were distracted so easily.
Mhm.
Um, but then when they've come back to school now, I feel like they can't. The attention span is gone. They can't retain anything, and I feel like we're to blame in a way for that. Like I don't know. I feel when I'm in a class now that they have to constantly be entertained. They have to constantly. It has to be the punchiest lesson you've ever done all the time. There can't be moments of stillness. There can't be moments of where they're not being entertained, because they have to be. It's like they have to be constantly switched on,
Mhm.
and they
Mhm.
haven't learned how to switch it off.
Mhm. Yes,
um,
so
and
true.
maybe we're partly at fault for that, because of all the online teaching. I don't know. I don't know.
Mm. It's interesting, though. Thanks for that. It's interesting when you talk about the attention span. I say to my students, you guys have TikTok brains.
Yeah,
Because TikTok is a few minutes. That's all they have. TikTok brains. They cannot have, anything teaching. You cannot teach them beyond that amount.
yeah,
It's not going in there. It's real TikTok. The
yes,
attention span is so low.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know, this is what I find when we came back into the classroom, that,
yeah,
as you rightly identify, is the fact that they're not able to retain much. They're not able to sit still for 10 minutes. So
yeah,
therefore, teaching became very, very challenging
yeah,
because you really had to change the way you taught.
absolutely. That's been the biggest challenge, I'd say, since coming back, is how to get the message of what you're trying to teach across to them so they retain it.
Yeah,
That's been the hardest thing.
yeah, it
Absolutely.
is. It is very true.
And I don't know how to actually solve that problem. I don't know if anyone knows that.
Mm.
And actually, it was really interesting. I was speaking to a parent the other day who had kind of not the opposing viewpoint, but a viewpoint I'd not heard before, and I thought it was really good. He said that they're all in this journey now where they're all like this, and we can't change that. We couldn't try to teach them how we've been taught, but it's not fitting how they are now. They're learning through Google, through TikTok, through YouTube. And he said it's not necessarily about trying to fight that. We can't really fight it. We've got to kind of scaffold it and support it. And I thought it was a really interesting viewpoint, because most people are moaning about kids and saying, you know, what's happening and what are they like now, and this is terrible. And just to hear someone say something slightly different, it went, it spoke to me quite a lot.
It's speaking to me too, because it means that instead of us seeing the social media, the phone as negative, we could make them use it to their advantage.
Yeah. We could scaffold them in a way that they're learning, they're using the technology that they are so very good at using, but doing it for the right ways, maybe. But how we get there, I'm not quite sure. That's the difficulty, and that's the thing about teaching, isn't it? Teaching is always changing, it's always evolving. It's a job that never stays the same. It's a job where, maybe we now have to evolve for how their lives have become.
It is so very true, because in every profession they have progression and, you know, people evolving, etc., except teaching, because every profession have actually embraced the technology in its full entity, but not in teaching. The only thing we use the thing for is to project on the board. We're not using it, you know, if we have to show a video, we're not using the full capacity of of technology. We're not.
Yeah. And 9 times out of 10, when you have a technology problem in the classroom, who do you ask to fix it?
Exactly.
The 11-year-olds that know more than you. It's so true,
isn't it? So true. It is so true. It is so true. You know, it's like I'm saying, this teacher is not, you know, technically savvy, so you guys need to, you know, come and sort it out for her, which is very true. So that's why we should be using it a lot more and a lot differently than we're actually using it now. Yeah. Because you see, it's here to stay. There's no point in we fighting against it. It's here to stay. We might as well embrace it and use it to its maximum, you know, full capacity. That's what we should be doing.
Yeah. It's hard though, isn't it? Because I would never learn like that. We didn't have computers when I was at school, and they were just coming in towards the end of my primary years. And I remember technology lessons at secondary school and learning how to touch type and learning how to put things in a folder online. But the internet wasn't there yet, and it, you know, maybe things have changed so rapidly that maybe it's up to us now to change our style of teaching. How we do that, I don't know, but
it is a point. It's up to us now to change our style of teaching. We need to maximize technology, because it would make our life a lot easier, I hope. But, you know, it's like, as you say, how are we going to do that? And what aspect we're going to do that with?
Yeah.
You know.
Don't know.
Exactly. A lot of unanswered questions, isn't it, as
teachers?
As a teacher, what is the most rewarding thing for you?
Most rewarding. It's very difficult, that question. I think when you see a child learn right in front of your eyes, when you see progression, when you see that something you've done has made a difference, that's probably it. That's probably the reason why I keep coming back year after year, is because although it's not all the class, you know that some of the class have got it. I've got there because of you, and that's a good feeling. That's a very difficult question, because there's many rewarding aspects of the job, and maybe as well in recent years we've focused a lot on the negative aspects of the job, because it has been very tough in recent years.
Yeah.
But there are some very nice rewards, and maybe we need to be looking at that a bit more.
Yeah, I agree. No, I agree with you there, because too often society bash teachers and teachers bash teachers themselves. So we need to start looking at the positive aspect in it. What is our why we in this? Because there must be a why we in it.
Yeah.
And every day I look at it and thinking, I love teaching, so I feel so blessed to be in that career, that I love it, that I get up in the morning and thinking, oh yes, what am I going to teach the year 12 today? Okay, did I teach them XYZ yesterday? So it really is, it's a joy for me to get up in the morning to go to classes, because I enjoy teaching so much.
That's nice, and that's how it should be, isn't it? That's
exactly.
You've got the passion for teaching.
Yeah. Or else it becomes so an uphill struggle.
Yeah. It is an uphill struggle, isn't it? We know it is.
It is. There's some days you have to dig so deep to find the positive in what you've done. There's some days you could see it, no problem. There are other days you're thinking, oh gosh, what was the positive? I know there is, but I can't find it.
Yeah.
That's the thing about it.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. What's the most stressful thing of being a teacher?
Oh God.
I know.
Sorry.
I said there are plenty, I know.
Yeah, there are. Right. Where to begin? I would say, for me, one of the biggest stresses over the years has been management. A lack of managerial understanding of our job, of actually what our job entails. I feel the best management I have had in my career has been from head teachers who have been teachers themselves, and who have been in the situation, and who know and who support you no matter what, who stand by you and support you. That's where the best years of my career have been with head teachers who've done that. Whereas other situations I've found very stressful have been where managers do not understand what the job entails, or where in the private sector, because I've been working in the private sector for a while, the management maybe have seen it more as a business, as in terms of a school.
Yes.
And have forgotten the actual reason why we're all there.
Yeah.
So that's probably stressor number one, is the management. I'd say another important factor is behaviour, and that's something we all deal with in different ways in different classes. But maybe a lack of support for the behaviour, because it's not necessarily the behaviour, actually, is it? It's more the lack of support. It's more that you don't get supported by people in your school, or supported by parents, or supported in different ways for having to deal with that behaviour day in, day out. And maybe as well, the other thing that I really find with teaching is that it is always changing. There's never a year that's the same. There's always a new initiative. There's always something different. And maybe that's what we have to, maybe that's the job, maybe that's what it is. But the lack of understanding for that, and the lack of support, and the lack of training. And sometimes you have training, but then to be able to actually put that training to practice and have time to put that training to practice.
Exactly.
Time. Not always there. Time. And I remember thinking when I first started teaching, I remember thinking you need 2 teachers almost in a classroom for one class. You need to share the load, because I think it's a 2-person job, not just a 1-person job. share the load of the paperwork, share the planning, share the assessment, share the marking, and share the actual teaching.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot to fit into your working hours.
Yep. Yep. There's sometimes you realize, oh my goodness, I haven't done. It's like I'm talking to you and I was meant to give them a question for homework. And I didn't write the question, you know, I was meant to write the question on Teams, but I got distracted and I haven't done it.
Yeah.
You know.
Absolutely. Because our normal life takes over, doesn't it? Our family life takes over, and our, you know, you come out of the school workplace and you're on to the next thing. What do I have to do now? Cook the dinner. You know.
Especially if you're a parent. You leave school and you call home and you're starting all over again.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah. So you're constantly on the go. That's the thing about it. That's why I say I was sitting here thinking, oh, I was meant to give them the homework and I will upload the PowerPoint and you haven't written the question. Because I forgot. I had too many things to do. Mm-hmm. Do you think that teaching should be, right? Do you think teaching should be teacher-led, teacher-centered, or student-led, student-centered?
I think it should be a very good mix of both. Mm-hmm. That's a difficult question as well, because I've known lessons where I've done it completely student-led and it's worked really well. Or I've done completely teacher-led lessons and it's worked well. But I do think a happy medium between the two works really well as well. It depends on the class.
Yeah.
That's a massive factor, isn't it?
Yeah, very much so. Whether or not they're receptive, whether or not they're willing to learn, or they just want to play the fool in the class.
Yeah.
Yep, very, very true.
Yeah. The age group as well maybe is a factor of that. Yes. I think with year 6 you could experiment a lot with teacher-led, child-led, and play around with it a little bit, and they were really kind of responsive. Mm-hmm. They knew what you were doing, and it was good. But I think maybe with younger children, mm-hmm. maybe harder. I don't know on that one. It's a difficult one. I found when I've been teaching middle school recently, so secondary, so the first 3 years of secondary, and they respond well to a more teacher-led kind of model with some student-led input as well. Okay,
that's interesting.
But again, depends on the class. And I'm talking as well about Italian children generally. Mm-hmm. A different culture. Yeah. Maybe that's a factor too.
Yeah. It is so true. It's very much dependent on the class you've got and dependent on the student in it.
Yeah.
Do you believe that detention works? What are your views on detention?
Detention. No, it doesn't work.
Whoa, she gave her answer straight away. No, it doesn't. Why don't you think it works?
Oh,
because we use it so much in the classroom.
Yeah. Again, this depends on the school and the policy for behaviour, doesn't it? And I think obviously you have to follow the policy of the school you're in. Mm-hmm. And no, detention doesn't always work. Maybe it works for certain kids in certain situations. Mm-hmm. I think it works for the generally good kids that maybe every now and again step out of line and they need pulling back in a little bit, and you give them a detention and that's that.
Yeah.
And then, but it doesn't work for the majority of the kids. Maybe it doesn't work. Yeah, I think we need to look at the root problem of why they're doing that behaviour, why they're expressing the behaviour they're expressing, and but that again, that takes time, and that's something that we don't always have, isn't it?
Exactly.
So it's really getting into the bottom of what's causing that.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Because sometimes we have no choice than to give detention, right? And although you give the attention, you know full well it doesn't work because the
Yeah.
children normalize it. And
Yeah.
children gonna say to you blatant, Miss, you know the tension doesn't work.
Yeah.
You know, because what I'm in this school, I don't give the tension because I think it's a pointless exercise. So
Yeah.
this school is like the classroom I'm in permanently. Every evening, every after evening, they come with the detention, you know, list, etc. And some of them might be my teach students while I'm teaching. I say, you guys are in detention, you know, and they're saying to me, Miss, you know it doesn't work. I'm just going through the motion, right? And when I'm tired, I
Yeah.
just put in my head on the desk. I say, really? That's why you're doing detention, Miss? Because there's nothing else to do. You know,
Yeah.
there's something we're supposed to do our work, but you don't want to do the work in the classroom.
Yeah.
You know, it's just interesting. I never thought detention work anyway. It's a waste of time. As
Yeah.
you rightly say, we need to find the causal factor and support the causal factor.
Yeah.
Help them deal with it and navigate it and know how to, you know, how to
Yeah.
how to deal to regulate the emotion
Yeah.
because it doesn't help.
Yeah.
Detention doesn't help. It's interesting. Right, and finally, hmm, what three tips or more, you could do more, but minimum three tips you would give someone who's just entering teaching, like an NQT who has 2 years and you know deciding that they've done their training already and now they they're doing the physical training. What would you tell prospective teacher?
Hmm. This is really difficult as well because I'm trying to think back to when I was an NQT and what I needed. But obviously it's different now. I think the teaching has changed again. It's evolved again since I was an NQT.
Yes,
I
two
would
years
say,
NQT.
sorry,
The NQT is 2 years.
yeah, it's 2 years now. It was
Yeah.
only okay. It was 1 year when I
It was
was.
1 year last year. It was 1 year last year, the year before. Now they made it 2 years. Waste of time because all they're doing is just stretching out what they did in the 1 year.
Yeah,
Right. So
yeah. I didn't realize that. I thought it was just because 1 year was kind of perfect because you got really well. I did. I got quite a lot of support, and I had regular meetings with my mentor, and I actually found it quite useful. But I don't know if 2 years. I don't know about that. No, the advice I'd probably give to somebody, tips. I'd say now, looking back, I never managed my work life, my home life, work life balance.
mm-hmm.
I never did very well at that. I think I got burnt out very quickly. And I think I was always trying to do the best lesson and trying to do the thing, what would work, make all the resources, make it all sparkling and gleaming and wonderful.
Wow.
Yeah, but it doesn't have to be like that. Some of the best lessons I've taught have just been having a chat with the children.
Yes.
You know, and not going in with loads of resources, not armed with a PowerPoint, not ready for, you know, everything, every eventuality. It's just been going in and having a chat. And sometimes the responses I got were the best. And I got more out of that lesson than any prep. So I would say, don't prep for every lesson.
Mm-hmm.
Don't do so much prep that you're not sleeping.
Mm-hmm.
Sleep. So sleep, work-life balance, absolutely. I think they're the two top factors. But also make sure that you have the support that you need, that you have support around you that you need, because it is really tough. The first couple of years, the first 5 years for me were really tough. You're still finding your way and you're still working stuff out, and it's not easy. Having that support system around you, having people that you can go to, maybe a teaching partner, someone that you're working with in school that has been there a lot longer than you have, who's more experienced, who can be there, you know, to make you a cup of tea when you need it and have a chat with you and guide you. That's what you need. You need a bit of guidance and support, and make sure you search for that, because teachers are very, very busy. can't always give you that, but sometimes you need to express that's what you need and get it for yourself. Yeah, that's it. I'd say they're my top things. I think if you've got all of that, the job becomes a lot easier.
It's interesting because you talk about work-life balance, and some teachers would like to think that they have it sorted, but they don't.
Yeah.
And that's the thing about it. How are you able to do that?
It's not that, again, that's not easy. And I'd say now I have a lot more of a work-life balance than I did. But I still don't have what I ideally want. I still am working weekends. I'm still working in the evenings. I sometimes find myself sitting there at 10 o'clock with the laminator on, laminating stuff, thinking, what am I doing?
Wow.
But now that I'm freelance and I'm not necessarily under a contract, the time is my own, and I kind of, in a way, I'm enjoying it more, prepping. But I can't believe I'm saying that. I'm working for myself, so I think I'm enjoying what I'm doing a little bit more, and I'm prepping things for myself because I want to make them good for myself. It's very difficult to find a home life, work-life balance. It's very, very hard. I don't think I've got it yet, but I certainly have got a better one than I'd had when I was an NQT. I'm making that time for myself, and I think that's the important thing, is actually making the time for yourself, is knowing when to stop, knowing when to say no, I'm stopping now, switching off as well. When we were online for COVID, switching off that computer when you finished your lessons for the day, turning it off, physically turning off the computer, and having just an hour to yourself, maybe. That's balance, getting that time.
Thank you. It's so important that we have that time. But sometimes it's difficult, but I think we need to find it in order for us to have a balance, because it means that we're going overboard in terms of teaching and getting resource, etc. Because anytime you go down the street, you're thinking, oh yes, this might be good for my student. You never switch off. You never ever switch off, because you're always on. You're on alert. It's a constant thing.
I think in a way we've got to accept that. I think that is our job, isn't it? And I think it's sometimes our job does come into our personal life, and in a way it's finding acceptance of that, but knowing when to say no, stop now, and no more resources, no more laminating. Stop.
Knowing how to say no. Yes. Something you said which is interesting. Do you think that the night before, let's say over the weekend, right, Sunday night, what do you think is going through in teachers' heads Sunday night?
I used to have the Sunday night dread.
Really?
Yeah, I don't anymore. I don't now. I used to dread going into the classroom on a Monday morning. But that was when I worked in the UK, when it all became about targets. And since moving to Italy, it's definitely a different situation here. It's becoming a little bit more like the UK. There is a lot of, it's target driven, and there's a lot of paperwork now, a lot more than there was when I moved here. However, I think it's more child-centered here, more than I found in my very short experience in the UK anyway, because remember, I was in one school in the UK, and I'm talking from that experience. I'm not talking from lots of different experiences there. So I know that some people in the UK have got fantastic schools and are having a wonderful time and are loving their jobs. So yeah, I think for me it just became too much to do, and the feeling of, oh God, I've got to go into work tomorrow, and I've got to work a 12-hour day, and I've got to do all this marking, I've got to do all this. you know, and there was always something else to do. It never stopped. It never was there was never a point where you could say, oh, I've done everything.
Yeah.
I've done it.
Exactly, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I never knew that there was something called the Monday blues for teachers
Yeah,
until I was talking to a colleague and she was saying, oh, yes, she really had that because in one of the school before, she really had a lot. She had a lot and she had a hard time and she was dreading going into work. And I said, to what? She said she
yeah,
was dreading going into work
yeah,
because she found it very stressful and she wasn't being supported.
yeah.
And I'm thinking, wow, wow, wow. I've only had positive actually when it comes to that.
No, I've heard a big mixture, I think. But I know this Sunday night dread is very real.
Yes.
And I know lots of people have experienced it. I luckily don't now. I'm luckily very happy to go into work on a Monday. I'm
Mm-hmm.
happy to do my job for the week. I enjoy it. But I've had to find that, I think there are schools out there, there are situations out there where you can find the enjoyment and the excitement of going into a classroom again on a Monday. And
Yes. Yes.
yeah,
For me, I would enjoy that if I'm not teaching the younger years. Only
yeah,
six farmers. For me, only six farmers. And I would be
really,
happy. Yeah. Year 11 and year 12 and year 13, and I would be good. But
yeah,
when I have to teach the younger years, I don't know how to teach them. That's a
yeah,
real challenge. I don't know how to teach them because I've taught them 20 years ago. So me
yeah,
now having to teach them, I don't know what to do.
yeah,
So that's the other factor of that as well.
yeah.
Not knowing, in terms of teaching the younger years.
It's finding as well the age group you're comfortable with, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
finding your age
Yep.
group,
Yep.
your
Yep.
kids that you're happy with, and
Yep. That is so true. Mine is
yeah,
what I'm happy with is year 12 and 13.
yeah,
So when you put me in other classes, I'm thinking, oh my goodness, the subject is nice, but am I able to get through this amount of work with the students? And
yeah.
so far, I haven't done it yet. Is there anything else you want to say to us?
No, just thank you very much. It was so nice to talk to you, and it's so nice to share my experiences of being here in Italy.
Yeah, I just think that you're so blessed because, the reduced workload, because now the workload in the UK is even more intense.
I
And
can imagine.
they're talking about the assessment, and I'm saying, okay. And it's like, I just think it's excess.
Yeah,
Thinking, oh
there's
my goodness.
there's so much. I hear so many stories from the UK of teachers that aren't happy,
Mhm.
um and it's hard. It's hard. It's not the job it once was.
No. And you kind of feel that, well, I feel that, is this what it's all about? That's one of the reasons why, being they've done it, and I have no interest to go into management, you know,
Mm,
because how it was then is so
mm,
different now. When
yeah,
I look at the amount of things that you have to produce, and
yeah,
I'm thinking, I don't remember all of this unnecessaries. It's so
yeah.
unnecessary.
Yeah. It's absolutely, it's filtering what is necessary and what is not necessary, and
Yes.
maybe over half of it is not necessary.
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah, and it's filtering that out, and I think I found that in Italy really.
Yeah, yeah,
That, and I can recognise now what is necessary and what isn't.
yep,
So
yep. Anyway, have you
yeah,
got anything else?
no, thank you very much.
Thank you for accepting the offer to come and share your double journey with us, the UK and Italy's journey, which is fantastic. And listening to this, you're thinking, there's no way in hell I'm coming back to the UK, right? There's
Think it'll be
no
a
way.
long time before I
Exactly.
consider it.
Before it's, yeah, especially having the luxury of not so much pressure. Here is
Yeah,
pressurized.
yeah. It's much
Pressurized.
less pressured here, and uh, I'm not saying it. It's definitely changed. The job has changed since I moved here, and it's becoming more pressured, but it's definitely less than the UK. So it's good.
Exactly. So that must be a plus. Yep.
Yeah.
You know. Anyway, thank you very much, and thank you for Facebook audience. And I will see you guys probably on a live next week. Actually, I usually do a live in the morning when I'm going into school, but I've been so tired, right? I haven't managed to do a live, but now I'm beginning to, work it out. So I'm gonna start my live on Monday morning when I'm going into school because there's so much I have to say. Oh, so much. I'm teaching the year 8 and 9. Oh my goodness.
Oh
My
good
goodness.
luck.
I need it. It's an eye opener, but it's also a very tiring thing because discipline is an issue. So I need to think about it. Anyway, guys, take care, stay blessed. Don't forget to love yourself, and I'll see you next week, Friday.